I'm Christopher Titus, and this is the Armageddon Update. Bad abusive relationships. How do they happen? Why do they last so long? And how many emergency room visits does my insurance cover? Now, we've all been in bad relationships. There's just different levels to some people's bad relationships. You know, yeah, we just didn't hit it off. Or, yeah, well, he didn't like my family. All the way up to, it's not his fault I don't listen. And you could have told me you were gay 9 years ago. Shout out to the Highlander. Bad relationships are the boot camp of emotions.
I am in a world of shit.
It's one of life's barbed wire fences to be climbed over, and no one gets out unscathed. We all walk into the next relationship either full of new knowledge about how to be in love or full of twisted revenge. Some who were abused became the abusers, and some who were abused become statistics. The problem we all seem to have is leaving, extracting yourself. And let's be honest, why you can't leave? Sex! A lot of relationships continue because we're afraid of being alone. However, the most alone I ever felt was when I was married. When you're alone, it's just you sitting in a room by yourself. Well, just you and the voices. When you're in a bad relationship, it's worse because someone else is actively supercharging your loneliness and self-esteem destruction with an actual voice telling you how bad you suck and embezzling money from you so you divorce them. And then they lie about you in court and lie to your kids about you and the new wife too. Or so I hear. Pull the ripcord, people. Staying in a shite relationship is not worth it. I've said it before. 3.5 billion men on the planet and 3.5 billion women. And if you're bisexual, you have no excuse to not be happy. But Titus, how do I leave this bad relationship? Well, first you need to admit the person you're with is a vampire douchebag sucking your life force to the point that you can't have a decent bowel movement because of the constant stress.
And he's very bitter. And you think that he's just gonna walk out the door and never know why.
And that your happiness and freedom is worth it, whatever the cost. You will find somebody else. You will be happy again. You will feel loved again. You will, however, go through hell with your ex calling and texting and sobbing, threatening suicide, murder.
What are you hoping to accomplish with that? What, are you going to pay me back? If you do that, it's over. It's over now. F*** you. How dare you act like such a bitch when I'm being so f***ing nice.
And using your Netflix sign-in. But you will recover. You can't find your dream until you leave your nightmare, people. I did. My relationship now, best thing that ever happened to me. But I had to cut loose the dead weight. Finding happiness was expensive, but I got happiness. As much as I can be anyway. So nut up and bail. You will lose some stuff. It may cost you some money, but this sliver of time, people, these few breaths we get on this rock floating in space are too precious to spend them with an asshole. Even if you're getting paid really well. I'm Christopher Titus, and this is the Armageddon Update. There's no amount of money to stay with that dude. Hey everybody, Christopher Titus Podcast. How are you guys doing? We are in Houston. That's why the set looks different. That's why everything looks weird. But we're here because we have a great friend with us. And so I'll tell that in a second. With me, as always, is the lovely Bombshell Ray.
What's up, people?
And let me explain this man a little bit. I have known him since I knew Ray. Ray knew him before that. He is one of the funniest comics I know. He's a great writer. He's got books. You can check him out on Amazon. Honestly, a dude that is a life giver, not a life taker. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Slade Ham.
Yay.
I will take that as a compliment.
Did you have to figure it out?
I'm doing quickly trying to do
Where's he going with this? All right.
some computation.
How's it going, man?
I'm fantastic, man. It's good to have you in the studio.
Yeah,
this is amongst all of my toys.
You'll never grow up.
It's
You are always a lost boy.
It's a tree house, and I enjoy it.
Honestly, I was just going to say, when I first met Slade, he had a literal tree house.
I had a 3-story tree house.
He built it outside of his apartment building. He built a tree house in the tree.
And wasn't there like a...
Well, it's a bit of an insurance risk. They put a note on the door. They're like, but here's it's attached to 3 trees and a bit of a fire hazard.
Here's the call. There's a grown man who rents an apartment from us and has built another apartment in a tree outside.
I pretended I had kids for 3 years.
But that's Slade.
LA
So you've
is-
had some life realizations during COVID, right?
We all did.
Who didn't? I mean, you're sitting at...
I could
Well,
name a couple of people.
I will say, well, America as a whole, as a generalization, as I say on stage, we went right back to mass shootings and punching stewardesses.
Took 0 days. Like,
We also went back to calling them stewardesses, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. I did. I went from air waitress to stewardess. I'm much better now.
air waitress.
I did. Yeah.
You must snap when you say air waitress.
Well, we could tell your story. We told you sure on
We
the
don't
podcast.
need to tell that story.
We got to
Well,
tell
now
that
we
story.
do.
Yeah.
Did you get a little uppity on the way
They
here?
turned the plane around because of
Get
Ray
uppity.
and dropped her back off at the terminal, bro.
What?
Yeah,
A
that's-
757
You were her?
on the
That's what I
tarmac
said.
in Atlanta taking off, turned around. Yes.
What did you do?
I
Was it the
wasn't
dogs or the
her.
mask?
It was the flight attendant that was her. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I may or may not have called her a bitch.
Oh.
In my defense, she was being a bitch.
She said, "Why are you being a bitch?" She didn't say you're a bitch. She said,
Semantics.
yeah.
You asked. That is fair. You asked
asked
the
a
question.
question.
That is different than
It was
drop
research. It was research, and she got in trouble for research.
You were feeling it out. She
Yes.
broke you down before you even put a real hypothesis out.
Yeah.
You were just
I never did.
exploratory
Yeah.
researching. Okay.
But also Rachel, because Rachel's so beautiful, there's a certain level of woman that is even having a conversation with Ray is like, I hate, say something, fucking say something.
And that covers basically all the flight attendants.
And this woman had half a glass. It didn't
Yeah,
used to,
because she's
though, but now-
95 years old, and I waited on
I
George
used to
Burns.
get banged in bathrooms at a Mile High Club. I started it.
I waited on George Burns on a Pan Am
It
flight.
used to be the Cubit High Club. We had 1,000,000 cubits. That's how old I am.
I banged Eddie Money on the back of a bus once.
So
We thought we were flying.
So she says she's on the phone with her sister, and you had your mask on and everything. You had it down for a second. and-
No, I never took it down. I
Right.
had my mask on the whole time.
But that's what they turned the plane around.
She just wanted me off the plane, and then she told
How'd she even
them-
know you were pretty if your mask was on?
Well,
Yeah, come on, bro. Come on, man.
I really try to exude it from my pores.
If you're
Slade.
sitting down and you're wearing the
She had
proper
a-
celebrity airport pajamas and you've got your park on and your bag full of dogs and you're covered up, you're really
Bag full
just
of dogs.
long
That's
hair
true.
and eyelashes.
That
There's
is-
not a
that-
whole lot
yeah,
to
but the
really
eyelashes,
be mad
it's
at.
like- and also, the light wasn't on.
Fuck your eyelashes.
No,
I think it was.
the light wasn't on, and there was a glow about her. So that Ray walks the world like
Oh
that.
yeah, you break down in fluorescent like the rest of us.
Yeah.
All you had to do was fight with her in the bathroom.
There you go.
Or Walmart. Nobody's pretty in
She doesn't-
Walmart.
Fluorescent light doesn't touch her.
Walmart's
skin.
and aquarium stores, weird places
Exactly.
to have fashion.
So anyway, they turned.
Have
the
you
plane
flown since?
Yeah, well, I flew in. I even flew in like October, November. I was out in it carefully. I was wearing a
Right.
mask and
Right.
I was doing all the stuff you should
We
do.
did.
And I
We
went
did a trip or two, yeah.
Yeah, I went to Cabo in June, and I did some gigging in October, November, and I'm polite about it. Like there was never even an issue for me. I'm just like, this is easy. I'm already an introvert, so there's like the part of me that's like, I don't have to talk to people, and I can hide behind a mask for the rest of my life. I hope this never goes away. And then there was the part that was like, wait, I make all my money being around people. This is fucked. What am I going
But
to
we're
do?
the same way though.
This
When we're
was
not
my
on stage,
problem.
listen. Between welcome and thank you, good night, we are out there. The rest of the time, I'm gonna back into this corner. We're like curl up. We're gonna wear pajamas at the house, and then we gotta go out again. Fuck.
But there's a point where, like, the 30th time you get up and walk to the kitchen and go, huh, and go sit back down, and you're just like, I want to put a gun in my mouth, and there's not even anybody here
okay.
to stop
We
me.
didn't get there, or her and I
No,
didn't
because
get there.
so this is the thing. You were there together.
Right.
And people always, it's harder when you're trying to keep up with your spouse and you're fighting and you're in these close quarters and all that. But it's also humanity and human
Right.
contact.
Right.
And there's like, alone is cool to an extent. And then you just start looking around. You're like, was that the mailman? I'm gonna go out. And say hi. Help. This is just.
Well, and also, what happened to your cats? Like,
Yeah,
what
what
did you
did
do? What
happen
happened
to
to your
the
cats, man?
So,
did you have a really bad day?
It's you know how cats can get.
And start your
No, we don't actually.
So the original two died. They were the ex killed them, not on purpose, but
Oh,
when
okay.
I moved back from LA, and this was a billion years ago. I had flown the cats to her because I didn't know where I was living. I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, hey, these used to be our cats. I don't have anywhere else to put them. So before I go leave them on a fire station step or just throw them outside and hope they don't come back.
So instead you took them to an addict.
Are
That's
fire
good.
stations now taking cats? I didn't know that was going on.
Here's the thing. They're taking babies still, right? If you just put one in a little bundle and you put it on the steps.
I don't know if they're taking babies. Dogs are fleeing. There's nothing on the floor for the dogs.
No.
Okay.
They're good. Just a bunch of chocolate.
They're perfect.
So
And raisins.
I know if you drop and grapes, which are just new raisins. So if you were to drop a baby off on a fire station step, they're not gonna just leave it there.
Yeah, but that's any step, pretty much, isn't it?
No, set one on my step and see. I bet it's there on
or
Thursday.
the DMV. The DMV would be like, get this baby out of here. Any government building, fireman is it. Right.
I think we need to jog back a little bit because when I first met Slade, which was 20 years
I like
ago,
how we're diverting the story from you getting thrown off the plane.
No.
you
We're going to go
criminal.
to your ex. We're going to go somewhere much more exciting.
Oh.
A happier place.
So when I first met him, he was dating this girl that no one ever met. She
Canadian
existed.
girlfriend- the
I know that
Canadian
because of the
No.
stab marks.
How do you know about the Canadian girlfriend?
Dude, you've traveled so the world. I know about.
Or was that a guess?
I know about I know about the Turkey girlfriend. I know about the Syria girlfriend.
All right,
Yeah, you could pretty much name any country,
exactly.
and he
Name a
gets
country.
defensive.
And there, yes,
You were very on the money with
there's
it.
a Slade skank somewhere,
So
Everywhere.
and then just took the off ramp. So moving on. And what happened? So go ahead, X.
So this girl, at the time, he was pretending everything was okay-ish. But every time I saw... Can you kill him?
That's not my dog.
It is too. Every time I would see him, it would be some new story.
scar or
Stab mark, or I remember the first time there was a hint that there was something wrong. He came to work in Shreveport and he said, my girlfriend disappeared for 4 days. And I said,
She used to have that problem with
"Pardon
a
me?"
boyfriend.
And we bonded over that.
Yeah.
Very much
and
so.
she went to a casino and didn't come home.
she won. So there's this is one of two stories. There were two extended stay casino stories with her. It's the only. But at that point of the relationship, it was almost like, oh my God, I got 4 days at the house by myself. This is kind of
Isn't it weird how we don't analyze the joy, like, oh my God, they're gone for 4 days, or they go, I'm gonna go see my mom for 4 days, and you're like, yes, that's a sign. You should
Of course
end that
that's a
fucking-
sign.
But we don't do it. We don't. listen
that
to
is
it.
that is the biggest. That is a Chinese flag store of it is absurd how much we tolerate. But at the time,
It's actually a Chinese fireworks display. Is what it is. You're like, dude, end this relationship. No, she's glad. I'm so glad. When she comes back, I'll just suck it up again.
because that's exactly what you would do, and it would be easier to. This is the horrible thing about these kind of relationships, and you and I bonded a lot over this when we
Yes,
first met.
yes.
But the codependency of it, one, but also the fact that it really was like I put this on a matrix and was like, it is easier to stay than it is to leave, because if I stay, I can at least protect everything that I have and then have my away time to accomplish what I'm working on.
That's a hostage situation.
Yes, it's a hostage situation.
Can I just update you really quickly that what was happening with the dogs over there is Slade has tennis balls on the legs of things so that they don't make noise or scratch the floor.
Oh.
And they have been trying to get the tennis ball off, so they're now locked up. So just
well,
wanted
that's.
to-
I'm sorry,
Wow.
nobody sent me a list of
Dog-
prohibited
yeah,
items.
writer.
I put
Yeah. Well, you're on our podcast. You should make the rules.
got
Oh,
it.
yeah.
That's on me.
So what happened with this girl? So scars, violence. She would disappear for
The
days at a
casino
time.
trip. She went. There were two instances. She went one time with. Did you know Sean Rouse?
No, I know of Sean Rouse.
Okay, so Sean was a bad influence on virtually everyone
Everybody,
in
yeah. That's why
in a party scenario.
That's what I know about Sean Rouse, and which is why if Sean Rouse was ever around, I was like, I gotta go because I am a person that can be drug into stuff. Sean Rouse, I hear, is a great guy.
He
but
was.
I can be drug into bad situations.
He was fantastic,
died.
but also
He did die.
yeah. So but the point was he had done the first show at my club.
Sorry, he did die. Case in point.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. It was, but of rheumatoid arthritis and not like he didn't overdose.
Wasn't this the guy that? This wasn't the guy that got run over, is it?
No.
No, that was
Eric
Eric Myers.
Eric Myers.
Yeah,
Sorry.
totally different guy. You're just random
Sorry.
white guys now. Of
No,
other
random-
comics that you
random
might have worked with in the
psychotic,
past.
right,
And
yeah,
go
guys-
like,
guys-
how many middles can I name? Like you just.
Guys who showed up. It seems to be a list of guys that showed up late for the gig. I'm more than focused on here. Yeah. Okay. Good.
So Sean did the first show and killed. right? It was my comedy club when it had
Beaumont,
first
yeah, great.
opened. It was
I played it once. Great club.
It was fantastic, but it was like our 3rd month open, so I'm still in very protective status of the room. And Sean goes up in the first. Sean's very dark. Yeah. He comes from a really creepy place when he talks, and it's good for the most part. Yeah. But that uncomfortable silence,
You went on too long.
he'll just let it sit. And he did a rape joke the second show, and the crowd didn't bite it. And he goes, "Oh, you didn't like the rape joke." And you saw the eyes light up. And he goes, "Well, you're going to hate this next 20
God,
minutes."
the old Hicks reaction. The Bill Hicks reaction.
He was an acolyte. I mean, this is a kid who came up in the Houston scene
Right.
under the Hicks model.
Right.
But hilarious under most circumstances, walked all but 3 people the second show. The 3 people who moved up to the front to watch it up close. They were just those dudes. After the show, Sean and my girlfriend at the time polished off a bottle of Jack Daniels, did an 8-ball of Coke, and went to the casinos. I saw him 4 days later. Sean called me the next morning because he had a flight, and he goes, "Hey, did you pay me last night?"
Oh, shit.
And I went, "Cash, buddy. Have a good time." And I hung up on him. And then I don't know what he did after that. The other time she won. She was gone for 4 days. She came home. She's a waitress, right? Like she didn't have a job.
Well, that's what I loved about you and the people you find. You always really set the bar high.
Totally. It was, I can take that now. This is, 10 years ago, I would have been way more defensive about that. But now I'm like, oh, cool. I've done this work too.
Exactly.
She came home.
Again, research.
At 8 o'clock in the morning. And she calls me on the way and she goes, "Open the door, I'm coming home." And I was, whatever. So I get up, I unlock it, I go back to bed. She pulls in a car different than the one she left. She had won $34,000 at the casino, stopped on the way home at like 7 a.m. at a dealership, went, "I want that car, I'll give you $200 if you'll open the door and sell it to me." She buys the car on the way home, puts $2,000 down on it, doesn't pay it off, stays in bed. Could have. Stays in bed for about 6 hours, gets back up, goes back to the casino, loses the $34,000, loses a $25,000 marker they gave her on top of that, and then totals the car in a drunk driving accident on the way home somewhere over the course of the next couple of days.
I forgot these details.
Yeah, so did I. Thanks for bringing this up.
Listen,
Well,
they're clearly right there.
You wrote a lot of good comedy out of this
I have
relationship.
had bad relationships, and I would like to give you the mantle and go, "You've won."
It is not a contest. I always feel like this is a poker game you don't want to win.
Yeah,
this
exactly.
is
Wait, didn't she stab you?
steak knife, but it wasn't deep.
And then
What
there
did you
was
do to get stabbed?
something
all sorts of things.
with the car where you were in the back of the truck.
The truck when now, and this is where you got to own your own shit too, right?
Yeah,
Like you look back and you realize that none of these situations could occur if you weren't there.
I was already thinking
there's that.
You're
So-
way more effed up than I thought.
But again, at the time, you're immersed in it, and you're in a town like Beaumont, right?
I want to stop for a second. Okay, so here's what we're doing. Now we're walking into Slade justification territory.
hang on.
She is a psychopath, period. And
100%.
And had I known all
But
this,
he has taken
was
his-
I
100%.
Was I in your life yet at this point?
You guys were, I can tell you when this was. This was 06, 05, 06.
No,
Oh, no,
this
I
was
wasn't.
You
right
guys
This was
were right before.
God, I wish
so
I'd have been there, 'cause
you and
that-
I met, I think
I
it
would
had
have been
just,
dude.
06.
yeah, it had just ended. So I was on the back side of it when we met, and I was decompressing from it. It was 06, and I do know all this because the Comedy Central thing, and you made me do the material
Yes.
for the show. So that would have been January of 07. I'm putting the timeline together. And all that to say that when I look back at it, when I'm doing these are justifications, but they're like this is me telling you I'm aware of the justifications I was using back then. Now it's like a clinical, like, holy shit, I was really, that made sense in my brain to me.
You know what was crazy
But I was with my
about you
divorce, I had
then
the same
was he was not open about it.
No.
You really were an abuse victim.
yes.
And it would, as you and I became closer and closer friends, we would be out drinking and he would just say something kind of sideways like that. Like, "Oh, she didn't come home for 4 days." And I would be like, "What?" And then he would shut up. He wouldn't.
Do you know why though? And because I went through this with my ex, and I went through with that chick that used to punch me in the face. Is that you realize you're a smart guy. You realize that what you're going through is a fucking nightmare, and you realize if you explain it, people are gonna go, "Dude, why are you staying? It's a fucking nightmare, and you don't want to hear that. You're locked in this. It's such a weird thing, and you were in a relationship too. Where you're locked in. We all get locked in. People, let me tell you something. If you're listening right now, when you get locked in and you're doing this, you're actually avoiding telling the story about how bad it is. Get the fuck out. And I know it's going to be... Extracting yourself was hard, wasn't it?
Those are...
Extracting yourself was hard. Extracting myself was hard and expensive. But your soul is worth it.
It's worth it. But this is what I try to... I always struggle with when I'm talking to people in these scenarios, because you and I... This is clarity on this side, right?
Right.
I have got all the luxury of hindsight and the fortunes and things that have come, everything good that has happened after that. And I'm in this amazing place because of it all. But you can't give that to someone else. Nope. That's you just someday it is going to, and again, like I was saying, it was easier for me to stay than leave. Right. At some point, that will shift. Yeah. And until you get to whatever that point is, so the only advice I ever have for anybody is just expedite that. It's like every time something negative happens, and I always, you want to try and process that and put that away as long as you can. Stew on that shit for a minute.
Oh, sit
on it, ride the anger.
I have a thing. We all have a phone with us all the time. Go to your notes and just write. Just make a. If when something crazy happens, just write it down. And when you get to 40. Be like, you know what? This is I've hit the number.
I love that 40 is your limit.
Because I know
as opposed to 3 or 4, which is
One.
Yes, because we're older. But I remember being in these relationships where it was 40. Before you're like, you know what? I'm tired of this shit.
It's stabbings.
There are things now where I have just people in friendship scenarios where we've been in the same room and they've done something where I've just gone, I gotta go. I can't even be. If you don't have a governor on your engine, right? Like there is something in you has to say, I gotta stop before I punch this cop. Like that, you have to have that filter.
And I have that.
Well, some of us, we have it now.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah, I have it now. Yeah. But I have a better version of it now.
But I look back at the old, and some of it was so environmental, right? Because Beaumont was this little Southeast Texas town that just doesn't, it's not as evolved, it's not as modern, it's not as civil in places.
We could have stopped that small East Texas.
I could have stopped at Beaumont.
There you go. We got.
I'm over here reading the thesaurus definition of Beaumont.
Name, everybody's like, "Hey, a Beaumont? Okay, we got it."
But the bar environments and the world you're living in, like you get caught up in these weird. I won't call it an echo chamber, but it's an environment that's sort of self-sustaining, and it's hard to extricate yourself from that. And you're in a relationship that is shitty and awful, and you have to ask yourself, you go, if I get out of this, where to? Because out of this is just
in a big city. There's inventory. You can go. I can go to pick something else off the shelf or try something. But in Beaumont,
everybody knows limited. Everybody. It's 100,000 people. 100,000
and the quality is Big Lots. It's not great.
It's no, not at all. The people there are just they're all you already. It's what Beaumont is. No, it is. If you Google it, it's the fattest, it's in the top 5 fattest, saddest, most dangerous. Like, pick a negative adjective.
You opened a club there,
bro. It was. I hadn't been out yet
with a guy.
You took a date there, fucker. So let's not.
With a guy who's basically the low rent Buford Pusser of the area.
He was with a Grammy-winning mullet. It was the most. I haven't seen a mullet like that 30 yards in front of a school of redfish. It was the most perfect. That was the only positive thing about it.
You really had a lot of shit going on at
Rachel,
that time.
it was
so it was all environmental. So basically, the environment you were in created and dictated your life for a long time.
It did not help my exit.
True.
That's
Valid.
And that's that. When you just look at all that, it's until you want out, you don't get out, and until you know what out even looks like.
Right.
You can't. We deal with this. Oh, this nebulous. What does out look like? We're making all that shit up. I was in that relationship for 7.5 years.
Wow.
I had no. We got together when I was 22 or 23. We broke up when I was 30. So I had no concept of my 20s were gone. I went from high school to the radio station to when I started comedy. She and I got together. And that was the first, until I was 30-something. And then when that club closed and my dad died and all that other stuff went, that was like this. And then from that, 10 years of like awesome, cool shit.
I also think, though, with people like that, like you guys had the extremes. Mm-hmm. Mine was bad, but even if you don't consciously know, you inherently know that they're going to ruin your life if you try to leave them. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's what's talking about extrication. We're 10 months away from paying our last payment. And you remember how long ago that was?
Yes.
June 6th, 06.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
when I filed for divorce.
I was going to say, I remember a lot of the 07 stuff. And this is...
June 6th, 06. And here's the thing is that I was raised where fighting was a constant. Mm-hmm. I was raised with whatever relationship my dad was in. So when you're in that, you're just in another. So you're in your relationship, you're like, no, we're not fighting enough. I know how this works. I've been around this my whole life.
It gets like old leather, like if I didn't have, there was a stretch where if I did not have conflict, and it bled into every other, into road rage and bar fights and all these other. You knew this, me. It was.
We are the same people because I'm
ever present. Where you
Except I created conflict not in bars. I created it with network presidents. That's the difference between you and I.
Well, yeah. Only reason I didn't is because they weren't in front of me. Give me one of them. That's
exactly. I'm not saying you wouldn't. I'm just saying.
This is why he and I became best friends, was because I really just want to hang out with myself. And then I married myself. And then when you guys met, you liked yourselves in each
absolutely.
other.
This is nothing but narcissism, and I'm fine with it.
100%. And
But
we're proud of it.
Since we've all known, like, you've toned down, I've toned down, like this. In the last year, we were just talking about how I say that in the new show I'm doing, Zero Side Effects, I'm talking about how we all get to this place where, like, it's stunning to me that, look, grieve for the people we've lost, love the people that are here, and thank the universe for showing us how stupid some of the people were in our life, and you just have to edit them. You're like, oh, wow, this whole thing, this extreme thing that just happened, you were like the worst person I've ever seen dealing with it. You wouldn't take a vaccine. You kept talking about conspiracies and chips and buttons. Get the fuck out of my life. Love you.
Crazy.
Love you. Hope it works out.
But there's a, when you do that, right? And once you start doing it, it becomes a little easier. But initially, the first couple of times you do that, the unease and the unnaturalness of it's like clearing out a junk drawer where you're just like, I haven't touched this shit in forever.
Yeah, but these three keys go to something. These three keys go to something.
But that same emotional inability to throw those keys away is the same thing that comes up. And I've gotten to the point where I'm like, all right, man, sit with that for a minute. See what it is about that's actually got you. What are you afraid you're gonna lose? Like do the
I
math.
can't stand confrontation though. That's my thing. I'm passive aggressive as shit. Like I just want them to go away, and I want them to know that I'm not calling them, and that means I don't want to see them. But those kinds of people don't get that. Like the
but that's
person
totally
we
fair.
were talking about.
But passive aggressive to me, and I used to be very good at the passive aggressive side because I enjoyed the long fuse of conflict. I never had to put it out.
Yeah.
It was like
it was a low
totally.
level all the time.
I'm not just gonna blow the barrels up. I'm gonna watch this burn for forever, and that is just as unhealthy to me because you never end up ending the situation.
You also never end up being in the present. You're always in some of that fucking past.
Totally.
And here's what else happens is that if you don't do what you just said, if like I'm better at it. I'm better than you are. I'm
too.
like, hey, we're done.
I'm better since meeting you. I've become slightly more aggressive thanks to you.
But here's why: if you don't, though, those people don't go away. They don't take the hint. They call you and go, "What's the problem with us?"
Totally.
And then you got to make some shit up.
For example, the way that I got out of my bad relationship was I moved. I changed my number.
Didn't tell the guy.
No.
Totally fair.
And that was it. And that's
which is as passive aggressively bullshit.
So it's amazing.
Somewhere he still thinks you're together.
There's a team working.
She's coming back anytime now.
There's a line of people slowly walking.
She's been at the casino for 14,000 days.
They're looking for her body in the forest.
But that's you're taking this weird responsibility for their happiness in those instances. Where I'm just like you know what, man, you're gonna have to figure you out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take responsibility for my own shit right now because you're messing. There's energy here, and that's now that I'm in the middle of stuff and actually doing stuff. This didn't mean anything 10 years ago because I'm just some dude working I'm in some club in some condo,
drinking, partying,
smashed every night. That's the game. Right. But now, like those emotional batteries are there. I have, it's not even time management for me. It's like energy management. Yeah. And I just
That's what I talk about.
don't have a problem with certain eras of my life not continuing.
Yeah.
It's a film strip that plays, and I'm happy we did what we did.
Right.
But you don't get to, and it's not even, I still do some of the passive aggressive stuff, and here's where.
You can't stop being you.
Well, you can't stop being you, and I don't want to be an overt asshole. Right. But also, it's like if we're all floating in inner tubes or whatever, and I kind of just let go for a second. I don't even have to actively paddle away sometimes. They're just like, oh, you're going to drift off on your own. Yeah. And if you get far enough away, then I don't have to make up any more excuses. And I get that. Right. But I'd just as soon kick you a little bit.
You got to edit the life vampires. You just got to edit the life vampires.
In the last 2 years especially, I have gotten really good at realizing that that's not my shit. I am not, you need to deal with your own bullshit. Yeah. And this was the first time with even like some family conflict that I had after I lost my mom, where I really got, that's your shit. And I don't have to fix it or try to be in your life. I can just go away. And when you figure it out, you can come back and I'll be here for family, not.
Well, I have it with my own children. Like,
yeah,
I have,
exactly.
Not to be dead ass. My kids, their mother has poisoned them since they were tiny. Ray and I raised them half the time till they were 12. Then all this crazy shit happened. All these lies and bullshit.
Totally.
My ex blamed you for some shit.
I bet. Yeah.
Oh, we should tell them.
The
There's
tickling.
so many things that we
people never
do
understand.
a 10-part podcast and never get everything.
But here's the thing. Here's what people don't quite get. When you explain, like all of us have exes that have crazy behavior. And there's so many people that never have touched that world. They've never lived. We had a bad relationship. We just decided to break up.
Yeah,
we still talk.
Oh, that's fascinating to me.
What the fuck? I am
blown away.
What part of the world are you from? Like, did you just kind of split up and it worked out?
What?
Yeah, she still watches my dogs. What the fuck are you talking about?
That's crazy talk. The only time I tried to do that, I sent the cats to her and she let them eat lilies. That's the whole.
Oh, is that what happened?
No.
Yeah.
And they died.
Yeah. Whoever she was dating, the new guy or whatever, had sent her some lilies and she had thrown them away when they died, and the cats ate the lilies, and then the cats died also, and it was just, whatever.
It's so surprising because you had always known her to be so responsible.
I was optionless there.
I know. Boy, that's another problem.
You're sitting there with $400 in your bank account.
Yeah.
Your dad's dead. Your club's closed. Your life is down to this.
How many people do I know that are close enough to take my cats?
And I'm like, well, I mean, she lived with them for a couple of years without killing them. How bad can, you know?
Yeah,
like
but she had it.
She had a me.
Yeah, she had a caretaker that was making sure she wasn't sick.
Somebody watching them.
So during our when Ray and I lived together in the Witzel house, and Slade came to visit us. Oh no, it was the second house. Yeah, it was.
No.
Slade came to, you got to tell the story. So we, my kids come over. Uncle Slade is here. Mm-hmm. We know Slade. Slade's the best guy we know.
Slade was about to leave for the airport.
Right, for the airport, right.
We had like an hour maybe while the kids
were
there. Then the kids rode with us to go to the airport. Yep. You and Slade chased them around and tickled them. And
it's hilarious.
They were giggling hysterically.
Hang on.
What happened?
It's just the exposure on her camera is bouncing for some reason, and every time I need to cut to you, it's not as flattering as I would like it to be.
Okay.
So I figured now's a good place.
Just so you know, in editing, man, it's annoying when we edit our stuff together. It's really fucking annoying how pretty Ray is in any light. We're like, really?
Obnoxious.
It's obnoxious. It's like whatever happened with her
Some
skin.
people are camera friendly.
Oh, man.
Some of us are us.
Yeah, some of us.
It's just layers and layers of makeup. That's how you do it.
No, it's not.
I can help you.
No, Jesus bless you.
Layers of beauty.
Are we good? Better?
You guys talk way faster.
I told you that was gonna. I did tell you that was gonna happen.
You know, at the end, because I was not prepared for how fast you guys were going to go.
Want to do the intro again?
At the end, we'll finish this.
Okay.
Okay, I think that should be fantastic. Have fun there.
All right.
I apologize.
All right, here we go again. Ready? 3, 2, 1. All right, so let's tell the story what happened with the kids at the time. And here, people, you're not going to get this because this is how crazy and this is just one incident of 1,000.
Oh, yeah.
But so we have a great friend come to Los Angeles, Ray.
End of his trip.
Mm-hmm.
Kids come over.
Right.
We had about 45 minutes to an hour before we left for the
Let's
airport.
go straight to the airport.
Yep. You met the kids, the two of you, chased them all over the house, tickled them.
Oh, yeah.
They were giggling hysterically. Yeah. Slade goes to the airport. We love you, Slade. We'll see you later. Yeah. The next morning.
Very normal day for
kids were like on the way back, we love Uncle Slade. Uncle Slade
Slade's
is great.
awesome.
So that you had made an impact on the kids.
Yes.
They thought you were great. And the problem with that, they were little at the time. They went back and told their mom. And this is what happened next.
The next morning, we get a letter from her attorney, and she has called the children's attorney because they had to have an attorney as well. And we get notified that Kenny was inconsolable and cried all night and hid under a desk. She always adds like a lot of extra details because you inappropriately touched.
Jesus Christ!
No more quote tickle time.
Yeah, it was like, and actually in his defense, the children's attorney was like, okay, like, and nothing ever came.
I wasn't
of it.
aware of that we had coined it tickle time. I didn't know that it had.
Because she had said that, and the kids actually, the kids' attorney had talked to the kids, and kids were like, "What?"
Yeah, they had no
The kids
idea.
like, we had fun. What are you talking about?
But you remember
Yes,
how constant this was.
That is the, and I some family members dealing with similar scenarios too.
Bullshit, divorce, man.
But it comes back to that constant need for conflict and how if you just. I let go of it. Like there was this last 15 or 16 months of just and I'm like, all right, if I'm gonna be here, we're gonna do some work.
Yeah.
We're gonna do some real work on all this. Like let's figure out whys and hows and I've journaled my whole life so I can go back to basically my sophomore year and you can track everything.
Yeah.
And it's stuff that I would just write and discard. Now I'm like, man, it's all here. Let's go back and forensically look at your life.
Self-therapy. This
Patterns.
is crazy.
Bro, because I can't afford regular therapy.
Well,
so
and also, here's the thing: is here's what you're doing that's great that a lot of people don't do. So therapists, to me, this is why I don't go to therapy anymore, because therapists basically bring the same shit up over and over again because it's $150 an hour, and they keep your same problem in front of you the entire fucking time. It never gets behind you; it's always in front of you. So what you're doing is you're analyzing it all and going, okay, because you're pragmatic like me.
Yes.
Like, okay, that's why I did this. Fuck, I'm not doing that anymore. And then you're done. And then you don't have to talk about
And
it anymore.
also, he's seeing himself as
Right.
his own therapist, which for a narcissist, it couldn't
it's all
get any
my
better.
God, I love my therapist.
He is
He is so
amazing.
good looking, very smart. It's effective.
I am on my game with me.
I'm killing.
I'm so on my game with me.
Seeing me every day.
I'm making a difference in my life.
and then you pepper that with some the occasional psilocybin trip through the ether, and it's, dude, I've never been in better shape. I've never been happier. I've never been more productive. Every single metric I've measured my life by has gone up by a magnitude of 10 in the
That's
last
awesome.
15 or
We had the
16
same-
Yeah.
We had the
months.
same
I feel
thing.
the same way.
We
yeah.
actually started doing shows and we bought cameras, and it was like so many people locked down and were like, oh, I don't know what to do with my life. We just created
Got a Peloton.
oh my God! Or
created a
you're
whole-
biking through the
We created
through
a
the
whole-
mountains.
It's the best. It's the best purchase
you
I
put
have
that
ever made.
fish hook in your mouth. Is it that awesome?
Yes, and not just.
Do you have like a
because of the-
feisty? All right, get on your bike,
Yeah, Cody.
Rachel.
She's got the-
Let's go.
It's the gayest, funniest.
I love him.
The dude's hilarious. He's
it's
great.
what Peloton has done, and I've been into fitness. I love it, but I also don't like people.
Of course.
So I don't have to leave my house, and it's not just cycling because that would be boring for me. It's boot camps, it's weightlifting, lower body, upper, you can pick, and it's different instructors, and I just work out at home and don't have to see anyone and get my ass kicked.
That's what we learned too. I used to have to go to a.
But what happens if you just look at the trainer and go, no? Does he fight you back, or is it just you just get to quit?
I don't go to live classes.
No.
I don't
Well,
want people to see.
recorded.
I know, but if this guy, where's
Because we don't have that thing.
where's the accountability? Is it just internal?
Yes, the three
Okay.
of us.
Yeah.
No,
It's narcissism.
I know how we do it. I'm just saying, does this work for regular people?
We have to
Because
fucking win, so we're like, we're not gonna
Yeah.
stop. I'm like,
I'll kill myself.
they
You'll
go,
find me
"All right,
dead
keep
down
Keep
there."
the level at 45 and keep your
No,
pace
it's-
at 110,
they
and you're
gamified it, and
"All
you're
right,
in."
motherfucker, I'm gonna go. I always
Oh.
look at it. I'm going faster than 45% and the thing, and I'm doing one.
And
He wants 110. Fuck you. I'm doing 120.
Then my
Like,
friend Mahogany said to me, she goes, I try to stay in the top 10%. And well, now I'm like, I'm going to be in the top 8%.
exactly.
And there have been a couple moments when I've been on that bike where I thought, I could be having a heart attack, but I'm
I had that
winning.
happen.
Okay, that's
As long as I'm winning.
I learned-
By the way, this episode brought to you today by Truff. Have you tried Truff hot sauce yet?
is it? Hang on. Maybe
Dude, okay, so let me
This
expla-
is his
let me
most favorite
explain.
thing in the
so
whole world.
I'm a
I
hot
might have some.
I'm a
is the
hot
reason
sauce
I'm saying this.
once in a while guy up until this stuff came. It's a hot sauce with it's infused with truffle oil. It is, dude. Okay, take any burger, like any half-ass burger. Put this on it. It elevates it to like, oh, I would buy this at a restaurant every freaking time. So Truff. So they have They have pasta sauce. They have truffle oil. What are
Truffle
they?
mayonnaise
Truffle
is
mayonnaise.
stupid.
Dude, the spicy truffle mayonnaise is like this aioli. Remember when you were a little kid and you had that great sandwich as a kid and it brings
What
back
is
the
this?
memory?
Yes.
Yeah, this is the mayonnaise that makes. The first time I had it on sandwich, I was like, I'm 4 again. This is awesome. I'm outside. There's birds singing, and with my buddies, we're riding bikes.
You got Disney sauce.
Dude, it's Disney. This stuff, Truff. This stuff is the best stuff I've
never
ever had.
seen him be more excited about a product. Like, usually we're like, oh, it's an ad, and he is like, this is the best thing I have ever. He mixes it in.
I was going to say once you have it goes on everything.
It goes
so the
on
Costco,
everything.
we go get the Costco tortilla soup. What I do is, cook it. It's a big thing. It's a jug of
And then
soup,
you fix it.
and then I go, brrrp, and
He
then I
puts
stir
it on Thai food. He puts it on everything.
So does it have? It has a truffle
whatever
essence.
Whatever
It
they've
has
done.
truffle oil
Whatever
in it. So
they've-
there's
Which
a
is-
I don't know, I've never
black truffle,
analyzed my
There's
lab,
a
I'm just
white
saying.
truffle, and then there's a hotter, which is hot, and you can really taste the truffle. They also do an oil. It's stupid. I will admit it
How do
is
we get
really
it?
stupid.
How do they get it?
You get 15% off site-wide plus free shipping with promo code Titus at truff.com. That's 15% off everything at Truff, TRUFF, as in fantastic.com.
Yeah, one of our things is
promo code Titus.
One of our things is we don't we don't promote stuff we don't use. if we don't like it, I can't even fake. I can't even fake.
Oh, he
You have it.
does.
Dude. You have the black. This is great. Oh wait, you haven't opened it.
I'm a fan. No, I know that's the new bottle. I just literally got it.
So we have good.
There-
So good. All right.
So I'm in.
Awesome.
I want more now.
Now the truff. So now truff mayonnaise. Got to get the truff mayonnaise.
Oh.
So I didn't know there was mayonnaise. I only have the hot sauce. I didn't know there was
And
a
you
whole
need to try
line
the
of
white truffle one.
The white truffle one's got different vibe.
I thought that's all there was.
Oh no.
Now I'm gonna. Am I gonna end up on just? I'm gonna have nothing but.
Well, you and I.
Truff.
You'll be broke, but you'll have a lot of mayonnaise.
As long as it tastes
It's
good.
awesome. And we talk about if you didn't learn something during this pandemic, if you didn't learn something, what the fuck? Like I almost think there should be a code. Some people didn't. We did. We just bought a house in March, and so then 2 months later, all hell breaks loose. All my work gets canceled. Fuck.
Yeah.
So we just start asses and elbows. We just started going. And we did a bunch of shows, and we created this. And the great thing about Ray and I is that people kept going, how'd you guys do this? We could take pandemic together all the time. I was like, we became closer than we ever did.
You just become business partners.
Best buddy,
yeah.
Survival.
Yeah,
too.
but that's a default setting that you have now from somewhere in
From
the
life.
past.
Yeah, oh yeah, from
right?
our life.
And
Yeah.
every one of
Yes,
us knows when that
from birth.
When that everybody knows when that we know when that switch toggled or how long we've been that
Right.
way. But also, like, I'm real forgiving of people that didn't do anything over the last 16 months.
Well-
Because I take for granted my situation by myself. No ties to anything. It's like a blank slate when something like that happens.
Right.
You just have to figure out the money side of, like, there's stuff you got to figure out, but I don't have 9 kids and things. I don't have all that to consider. Like, if
Well,
you're,
I don't mean that. I don't mean that they didn't do anything. Because if you kept the lights on and you kept your roof over your
Right.
head and you did something. I'm saying if you didn't have an insight into this
Right.
life, if you didn't have an insight into the finite amount of time we're here, how many breaths we have, there's a limited number, and the sliver of time. Like I had a moment right before COVID, and I talk about it in my new show about I went to the dentist, and my third eye opened. I got so high on nitrous, I went to space, dude. I'm not, and I don't mean that metaphorically. I mean
on nitrous.
I thought I died.
Yeah.
I think I died.
They
And
thought you
Yeah,
died,
they thought I
too.
did. Doctor was freaking out. They had because he couldn't get this molar out, and he just kept giving me nitrous, and the oxygen level dropped to some point. And even my other dentist said, who's not the surgeon, he goes, "Oh yeah," he goes, "Yeah, for a little bit." Because when I woke up, the doctor was like, "Oh shit, wake up!" And
That's a you can get off, and I know exactly where you might have gone.
And
That's
this asshole, in the midst of all of that, comes up with his entire 10th special.
Yeah.
Has the nurse write some words on a
So I didn't
whiteboard
forget
while
it.
he's still high so
Yeah.
he would remember his 10th special.
dude. I did so I.
to the ending, I needed the ending.
without going too in depth on some of the stuff, but I am a mushroom fan. I won't talk anymore about it. I'll just say that I know how to use them in low doses in ways that open up creativity for me. And in September, I had a show at the Improv. It was the first show I'd taken in 6 months. I hadn't done anything since probably April. And I was like, man, it's when I had first booked the show, it was for like June. And I was like, well, I hadn't been on stage in 3 months. What a great time to go up and just see if I remember an hour, right? I don't even know what, because I wasn't writing. I wasn't writing specials. I was just writing survivable whatever. Right. And then I canceled the show because there was the spike in numbers, and we rescheduled it for September. By the time September came around, I was like, I can't go up and do that old shit. Like, what do you think? Yeah. So I doubled down on just me time. Like, if I'm going to be here, and I pulled out the notebooks and I pulled out the laptop. I went all my process. And I went to the Improv and I did 87 minutes of stand-up I'd never done before in front of 300 people.
Do you know how rare that is? People give me a lot of shit about, you always write a new special. So few guys do it, and how freeing was it?
It's so liberating. In fact, I cut it down to 50 minutes. I chopped 30 minutes of it off, and I just released it to Spotify without even telling anybody, simply so that I can look back. And it's the first 5 minutes or so, you can tell. It's like I haven't been on stage in 6 months. It's like me in front of it's loose and hanging out. By the time I'm at the end, I'm in a groove. I'm telling stories I've never told. I'm just riffing. It was one of the most fun things I've ever done. And now I'm in this place where it's like, I don't even think since I've been back, I've repeated it. I'm hitting mics and just, all right, cool. Here's 20 minutes of shit that I'm thinking about. I don't even know if it's real. We'll just talk. And most of it's like you're in that, it's just a flow state. And it's none of that existed before because I was in I never had the air brake pulled. I was in constant, I got to be here this week. I got to be here this week. And I'm making X amount of money. And I got to kill. Right. So they'll bring me back. And it's just, how do you break that cycle? Because that's a real problem.
Well,
that's
you have a pandemic. That's how you break that
that's
cycle.
The only way.
Shut it down.
So here's what I learned early on with that problem. I'm glad you've got there, because the one thing that Ray and I always talk about you is how ridiculously funny you always are. And then you would do the same act over and over. And I was like, you'd put new shit once in a while.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's not, that it's a bankrupt system. What ends up, and when years ago I would watch, and I was talking about this last night at the club, when the waitress is walking around, not mean, they're just doing your act while they're serving. That means you've done the same fucking act too long.
Yep.
So, and then Carlin had did 15 specials and 21 albums, and I was like, I can end, and I saw a lot of guys disappear, guys that were funny when I first saw them, and then 5 years later, same act, and I'm like, I made a decision after Norman Rockwell, and I lost a TV show. I told Ray, I said, I'm going to try to do as many albums as Carlin did. Good. Now, is it Carlin level? No. But I'm going to try to at least do that. And then what happened, I got in the habit of turning it over. Now, I write a piece, I hold it, I refine it as far as I can go, and there's a date when I go, this is done now, and then I got to write a new one.
But it's
freeing, though. But I'm in the habit of it now, so now that you're in the habit of it.
How long did it take you to trust that there was another special coming? That was the problem for me, was once I'm done, if I let go of all this, there's got to be another hour. I need another shotgun shell.
Do you understand that you'd have to literally change your personality to be no more funny? You
intellectually, absolutely. Okay. Standing on stage in front of 300 people paying my bills, no part of me gives a shit.
I would say, honestly, I haven't thought about this before, but one of our ongoing jokes was how when a special would be filmed, it would be the night of the taping, and he would be like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, here's all this stuff that has to go in it. It's your brain.
But
I'd be like, what's next?
And,
I'm like, I got nothing.
His
really?
manager at the time said to him, "Why can't you just enjoy this victory and just hold that up?" And he couldn't.
Yeah, that's my damage.
I would say it was this last one was the first time where you were doing a brand new show, Carrying Monsters, right, and you already came up with the next one. So I would say, and you've been doing comedy 30 years. Yeah. So in the last few years, really? Once that, I don't know where that fear first goes away, but once you do realize that more stuff comes, I'm writing the second book, and I'm also making notes on the third, because this stuff doesn't go here. It's got to tell people really quickly about your book, where they can get it. Oh, you wrote the intro to my book, Until All the Dragons Are Dead.
Laugh, by the way.
I'm referenced in it a couple times.
You are because there's some Shreveport stories in the because
really, people, you got to get this book. Really fun book.
It's
funny.
Is it on Amazon still?
It's on Amazon. You can get them autographed through my site, but it takes longer. But Amazon is the place to get them.
SladeHam.com.
Yeah, Amazon's the place.
Give us a title of the book.
Until All the Dragons Are Dead.
Tell us about the book.
And it is it's stories from around the world.
And what's the idea for it? How did it
54 countries of travel over the last 20, I guess when I wrote this, 18 years. Right. And I don't want to be stuck in this one emotion that stand-up is very fun and amazing and awesome, but also stand-up is very, if it doesn't end in ha ha ha, even as dark as you want to go with it, you still have to punch it, right?
Right. It fixes
Prose takes that need away. You're like, I can take some time describing some stuff
Right.
that I can't do in stand up.
Right.
And that's the part that I enjoy. It's like, man, I like writing about things that I see and I want to explain them to other
also,
people without being hilarious.
He is like a
what I did,
trauma
script writing, movie
magnet.
scripts. That's what I
Slade,
said.
I could go to the same town in Arkansas and not be attacked by a wildcat in the club.
Yeah.
Slade can't. Slade is a magnet for this kind of shit.
Yeah,
I'm a
you are a
magnet for
magnet for weird
stories,
stuff,
though.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
I want to be where the action is. If there's a
You're like
chance,
the Owen Meany of stand-up. Shit just happens to you.
I called him. I remember calling you that night
Mm-hmm.
when you were in Arkansas and you were in your hotel room and you had been attacked by.
I was given. So the bar had a cat inside. It was a cat. And I walked in to see the stage like you do on
Right.
3:00 in the afternoon.
Gotta feel
Let's
the
see what the
room.
room feels like. And there are two redneck guys trying to catch a cat. And I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in. I don't need
But
to know
this
what's going
was
on.
A what?
Oh, it was like a fluffy, gorgeous white ball of beautiful. Like you felt bad for the cat. I don't know what they were chasing it for food, sport, or sex.
Right.
It's Arkansas.
Right.
So the chances of this cat getting out of here in any sort of good shape were slim. I'm like, man, if I can catch the cat, this will be better off, right?
Right.
For the cat, at least. So the two redneck, one of them was giant, one of them was that skinny kind of redneck, but like
They travel like that.
But ripped. Like
Yeah,
how
they
are you 120 pounds and you got pecs and abs? Like that is those
we all know
hummingbird
that guy.
muscles.
We have all seen that guy at a fair. Right? Walking's with the big guy. Like, oh shit, those guys.
Those exactly.
They try- yeah.
Right.
So those two that we all know, dove for the cat, liquor bottles break the cat. I had positioned myself weirdly between the cat and the exit without realizing it. So it just shoots at my face. Is the only way to describe. And I could have told you before that had happened. Like if a cat had attacked me, I would. My chances got to be 90%.
I could handle a
Pretty
cat.
decent
Yeah.
chance,
Right.
dude. This thing I didn't. And I put my hand up like a straight up 3rd-year-old bitch, like 3rd grade. It was the
Yeah.
most embarrassing thing. The cat wraps its arm. It sank its teeth so deep into my arm. And I used to tell the punchline. I was blown. Oh, something here with a full set. That is remarkable.
Wow.
But after it happened, and I just kind of flung the cat like off. It lands in this closet, and they slam the door. I'm like, well, cool, we got it. I was like, does anybody have a first aid kit? Because I'm shooting blood
Right,
out of
exactly.
my. And the bartender, God bless her, walks over. She puts a Band-Aid down, and she gives me a shot of Jack Daniels, and she goes, "That's all we got."
You
That's
did the
Arkansas.
shows.
Oh, I did the shows. I went and got rabies shots.
By the way, that's urgent care in Arkansas.
That's
Yeah, exactly.
that was a hospital in Arkansas. I went and got rabies shots or whatever. I think they cut the cat's head off so they could test it for rabies, and then I performed.
So it worked out exactly how you wanted.
They didn't cut it. They lopped it.
They lopped its head off. That was the owner. That was the
lopped
owner.
it?
Her name was Buffy. I remember this. And she goes, don't call the vet. She goes, don't call animal control. They're going to lop its head off and send it to Little Rock for testing.
She wasn't
She
worried
was
about
so
Slade
concerned-
at all.
No, not. Oh, I know you got bit. Happens all the time. But they're going to lop that cat's head off.
Oh,
and we
geez.
can't
So
have
I
that.
remember talking to you. It was
my
like
God.
2 in the morning, and you were in your hotel room, and I was trying to convince him to go to the emergency.
Yeah, I didn't go the first
He
day.
wasn't feeling great.
That's not good.
And
It was a cat bite. What were the chances that it was actual rabies?
Arkansas.
Okay, again, where were you? That was Rachel that night going Arkansas, and then the next morning I was like, I should totally go get this looked at.
Speaking of Slade Ham, this episode also brought to you by ButcherBox.
ButcherBox.
Do you happen to have a box of ButcherBox in your
I have a
freezer
box
right
and I have
now?
some meat, but I bet it's not what we're talking about.
So it's basically it's a company that basically you can get a subscription. They send you meat all the time. You get to choose it. They have some sometimes they'll put stuff on the menu like lobster, but you got to get on it. That's why I always tell people if when you get the subscription, check it every week because people.
This was one of those revolutions to me during COVID as well. Like, I also don't have to go out in public to shop.
Right.
I can order everything to the house and pick it online and it'll show up on the doorstep. It's amazing. This box shows up the first time my grandma started putting some of it in her purse to take home with her.
Like she's at a Golden Corral.
Yeah.
She was like, "I'm taking that pot roast." We're like, whoa.
You
How are
are
you getting
not.
that through TSA?
I'm old. I can get away with a lot. So
Just
you can
looks
pick,
like meat on the scanner.
they've got, it comes with 9 to 11 pounds of meat. It's like 24 individual meals, packed fresh, shipped frozen. We actually had people during your recent Texas outing.
Oh.
The outage, not outing. Outing is a lot more fun.
Yeah,
Outing-
sounds way more festive
We
than
did
what we
something,
had.
yeah.
who had an experience where their box went to the warehouse and then FedEx was not delivering anymore. 3 days later, the box came. It was still frozen. Everything was still perfectly
Everything was
intact.
18 degrees here.
Yeah, well, that did help.
Yeah, what is it? It turns out, like, between the apartment building that just went down this week and the grid going down to Texas, turns out no rules gets people fucking killed.
Yeah, you'd think a little bit of regulation might be an okay thing.
Maybe, you shouldn't be.
We're not prepared for heat or cold.
You should be able to run shit
Yeah, I
like the
don't
mob
mind
in
the-
Jersey in
Exactly.
the 30s.
So, backed by popular demand, you can get bacon for life. So right now, new members get bacon for life when they sign up. So that's the entire life of your subscription. Just go to butcherbox.com/Titus. Free bacon, every box for the life of your subscription.
And what I love about it is, like, everything, like, the chicken is everything is awesome. Like, every time you cook something from ButcherBox,
Organic.
it's awesome. Organic, and it's
Grass-fed.
good. And chop the chicken up, put it into Asian stir fry. It's grass fed. It's not. You're not putting chemicals in your body. It's. I'm just, again, we could now just stay in our house.
That's
if
what
we
I
didn't
mean,
have to
and
go
you
to
don't
comedy.
have to see people. So
This is
butcherbox.com/Titus. Yeah. So Slade's book, highly recommend it.
Yeah,
the
people-
second one is going to be about what?
It is so. It's a little more philosophical. It's still stories from the road, but it's
And how good is the forward I wrote? Oh,
what
so-
it is perfect. It is. It's my favorite part.
Actually, my favorite part were when you mentioned me.
Of course.
I flipped through. I didn't read the book.
She
I just
digitized it and
flipped through.
Control F'd Rachel is
Rachel.
what she did.
I read the whole thing in a day. It was good. The stories are wild.
It's fun. So the new one is just a little bit more of that, but also just kind of it changed, right? Like what it was going to be when I started writing 15 months or whenever ago. It's just I'm different, and I'm like, this book deserves to be. So I retooled a bunch of stuff, and that's where the third one is kind of happening while the second one. I'm writing like James Cameron's doing Avatar movies.
That's great, man.
Yeah, it's
it's good that you have a creative outlet. You have to. I think that's why the comedy and the script writing for me is like. It
Mm-hmm.
needs to, and what you said, like my freedom, and I kind of mentioned a second ago. My freedom is there's 3 movie scripts I have to write now, and only one of them's funny. The other 2 are like holy shit. But that needs to get out too. I also think that it like every sentence you write makes you a better writer.
Totally.
And also I can go back to my writing now and go, oh wow, I sucked then.
Well, you have to.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to revisit old stuff like that and just
Agreed.
take a look at with fresh eyes. Wow, look at the mistakes I used to. Look at the stuff I didn't know. Right.
But also, like, and so many comics forget this. Like, guys will get on. And I used to say this for years. Guys will get on stage and do a bit 3 times, and they'll stop doing it. And I go. And I told her this with her guy on the cross bit when she first did it. She's like, "It's not funny. It doesn't work." I go, "That idea is brilliant.
Right.
You are not good enough to pull it off yet. Trust me, you'll pull it off." And it's a monster.
The thing
bit
is
in her
that like
special.
so many people, they have to figure out that they suck and revisit. Whereas I had you
Now I remember
to go back on stage
We were just
after
talking
one of
about
my
this,
first
yeah.
times on stage
that
in
is
a club.
one of my favorite moments. We
Not hers.
you should be so proud of that moment in hindsight. We were doing.
thank you.
We were doing. You had just started comedy. You were moments old.
I was
Like,
not even
And
being
just be clear,
You did. You weren't even really doing comedy. Yeah,
I was just
micing.
trying out a few minutes in between you
Yes,
guys.
and
yeah.
we were doing. It was 2-man, and I was doing 20, and you were doing the rest, and you went up after me, and it was the old Houston Improv, and
in
it
a
was
hole. You were in a hole.
just a.
Comedy in a hole.
It was. I liked that. You didn't like that room.
Nah.
I didn't like the stage.
I liked it
but I
better.
liked the room.
Yeah.
This one I love, but it's big and empty, and it feels too. It's like we talked about.
Well, I had a guy threaten me with a blade in
I
that
remember.
room.
I remember. I was. I remember. I had to sneak up behind him. I remember.
Yeah, exactly.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, this is how Slade got
exactly.
stabbed. And
Well, passive aggressive over here. What a. Why don't you?
Oh, no, I was happy. I would have done the same thing for him.
oh no, when he had a guy bum rush him on stage in Florida, I got behind the guy because there was no security in the room and grabbed a wine bottle off of some people's table.
But
and I was
did you whack
behind
it
the
for
guy.
No, she's
and
waiting.
he sees me behind the guy like this. Security says, I just saw you down there with a wine bottle. I was like, oh shit, they were all outside smoking. Anyway, so tell me why I should be proud.
So here's that. So Slade, did she go between us?
She went between us.
So Slade gets up.
Which is the dumbest
who's
idea ever.
Who's a many-year professional comic, kicks ass, and Ray's new, but we all love you, so we want. And we knew,
I loved her, but love.
I want to be clear about something. The reason that
I want to be clear about something too. Go ahead.
Ray didn't get into comedy is because when I was writing Love Is Evil, she kept giving me really funny jokes. She's an English major. She's smart, funny, and I finally was like, you need to do this. Mm-hmm. So she started writing comedy, and we put her up. So then. Put her up between you and I, and this is how it goes.
Here's why I'm very clear. We are dear friends until you're on a show with me, and then we're comics. That is I can show you.
That is she hates that both of us are like that. I'm her husband.
He
and I'm
said
like,
that to me. Yeah.
I will love you continuously before and after the show, but in that moment you get no indifferent treatment. Right. So. If you're going up out, and I might have cheated with a couple of cheerleady Texas bits up front.
Might have.
Up front. And a couple of applause breaks just to make yourself feel good.
Well, the good news, she knows all those devices now.
Totally. I know she knows it now. But then she went up and you did 10 minutes. You were up there for 10 minutes.
I suffered.
I don't know what the emotion was, but you were on that stage for 10 minutes, and you could hear the air conditioner.
we were behind the curtain. Him and I were behind the curtain, just listening.
In my defense, I wasn't booed.
Nobody. No. That would have been a response. There was a.
All right, that's too bad. There was some. You have to admit there was some painful.
It was
supportive,
and then
chuckles at the beginning,
and then she said goodnight properly, and you heard.
Well, okay.
I'm joking. It was a little more. And I remember walking because I had to go back up.
There's 4 jokes. Remember that got chuckles.
There were
out of the 10 minutes.
Yeah, there were. I'm sure, certain, probably.
But
I'm sure they clapped at the end because it was over. I did get applause.
It was. There was a sense of welcome relief. I don't know where it came from.
Okay, he's making it bigger and he's really beating the shit out of you, like we're in the green room right now.
As he does.
But yes.
After this, we're going to talk about Jen. Go ahead.
Yes, and then he says, "Well, what did you say?"
I go, "At least she's pretty."
And,
which unfairly got a big laugh.
I would actually like to say that my life was hell for a while after that. So thank you for that.
Oh yeah, I know. Dude, this is the same shit I do when I give my nieces sugar. It's I'm going to show them magic tricks and feed them chocolate, and you take them home.
Oh, we didn't stop there. After the show, we went into the green room, and Sam, the Maris, showed up.
Oh God,
and you guys then all relived it.
It was the opposite of a group therapy session.
We
just thrashed.
No, the group was having therapy. You were.
No, we gave her therapy. But it was almost like all the
suicide.
stuff because you can remember she booked comedy for so long, so she was part of the group that when the comics were, she would be the attacker.
Yes.
But now that she wasn't, it was like it's not good to be on that side. It was fun. You laughed. You handled it.
No, and I will never forget. I did learn some things. Like you remember these moments, and I said during that set, "You do the math." And you guys, when that was one of the things I've never forgotten. When I got off stage, you were like, "You never say that's the hackiest line you can say. How do you not know that?" So
you're like, "I've done comedy 4 times. Yeah, stop beating me up."
And it's not even comedy.
No, it wasn't fair. See, the reason it wasn't fair, it wasn't like she came from the world and just started doing comedy. She was in the world for 6 years, so she knew the rules.
But I think that's worse. I think that's worse.
But she had enough background to understand it.
I'll tell you this. I now realize after doing comedy for almost 12 years, that I didn't know the rules.
No.
I knew Funny Bone, Jason Ishii rules.
Yes.
And now that I'm looking back, I am thinking of some people that we love that did the same set.
Totally.
Every time they came back, verbatim, and I kept booking them because I thought that's what you did.
What you know as a club manager, owner, is, and I was doing comedy while I had my club, but I was doing it in my 3rd to 7th year, right? So I wasn't really that good at the time.
You weren't.
You
were
think
really
you
bad.
know, and you kept booking me. The
Yeah,
see,
but what
there's
did
an
I say
example.
to you? What did I say to you? I said
The waitresses are mouthing your act. No,
I said, you are really not funny, but you have the best damn press pack I have ever seen.
That is true.
So I'm booking you. And then he and I hung out, and I was like, I love this guy. We became best friends, and I kept booking him, but I would always tell him
You're not
he
funny.
wasn't funny, but I wanted to hang out with him.
But you also knew that actually burned a hole in his soul. So when this happened and you became comic,
he
you
waited.
earned every
Bro, there were
fucking
so-
yeah.
minute
Oh,
of it.
yeah.
You earned
Oh,
this
yeah.
story is
every minute.
enjoyable just as much on the way back up as it was on the way
And
down.
in his defense, I will say that he became a brilliant comedian. And the
Yes,
first
true.
time that I
True.
watched you, I can remember, and I was like, oh, okay, was when you were doing the Biggers bit.
Oh my God.
And that was in Addison
Yeah.
opening for you. And it was all of a sudden I was like, oh,
He grew up.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you started saying something. It was like,
But she had the same thing, man. She did comedy. I was in tour on the road with her. She was funny. Listen. I just got off the road with 2 guys. She couldn't work with me at the beginning of COVID. I went back.
Thanks
on
for the
road.
call.
What? Oh well, no. You're right. I should have hooked. Well, because you're above that. You're not the guy that opens for me.
I'm
You're-
working
you're-
new stuff right now.
All right,
I'm
all
off.
right, all right. Okay, I hear you. So when she can't go, I will be calling you.
Shut up.
But
Anyway, Carrie,
I
finish the
work
story.
with these 2 guys, and they were fine. And I had been working with her so long, I just got used to it, and I didn't realize how far she's come. Like it's stunning. Like the new bit she's breaking in about her grandma and the couples massage is like she's like, so you know what happens. You learn how to write a joke. So about 6 years in, she really got to the point where the editing was much less.
Yeah.
It was just like wham.
Yes.
And now she's doing this thing where like the joke first time out, preemie cadaver. Like there's jokes that you're doing that I'm like, I like
Just with no dead weight on them.
She's dropping hammers in her writing process
Yep.
as opposed to building to them.
That's where everything
That's a
pivots.
tenure thing.
Once you do that, and it stops being a 3 or 6 months process to get a joke out, where you're just like, you're like, I wrote 7 minutes last night versus I wrote 7 minutes this year, which is what it feels like sometimes when you're starting out. It
and
takes,
also, when you're writing something, the joke that you write that's going to kill. You don't even have to try, And then other areas, it's amusing. It might not be that great, but you can't think of what the joke's going to be yet.
87 minutes of shit I'd never done before. Totally trust fell on.
Yeah.
I know what a punchline is, and I know where they go.
and the great thing is you can never go back now.
I'm broken. I'm broken in
No,
a
you're
perfect in the
fixed.
best. Yeah. Yes, that's a better way to put it.
you were broken. Hey, Nixon, right? Like the shit you were doing.
Sam grumbled at me. I was with him last night for he had a set, and he goes, any requests? And I go, yeah, all new. And he goes, man, I hadn't really been in a minute, and I kind of got this idea, but man, I'm not really feeling. He went up and opened with something new. 20 minutes later, he had not done he did close with a joke I'd heard. And he went off on stuff that I knew was the loosest of ideas, because we'd talked about it. Like, this would be funny if. And he started riffing, and he got some traction, and it was just this amazing thing. And that's what I only want to be around those people now. It's I can't
Freedom!
it's the greatest place in the world, and I'm now one of them. So
I mean, I look back on, I cannot think of a headliner that used to work that club specifically. Boise, yes, but that didn't do the same set the whole time I worked there.
that's what B rooms like that.
That's
the
how
South has been littered with them. The country has been littered with them.
Yeah.
That's how you end up going back
Books.
to your substitute teaching job.
And that's-
you don't get to be a comedian for the rest of your life. Eventually, what ends up happening is the booker gets tired, your agent gets tired, everybody gets tired of the same shit. And here's the thing, I'm going to be dead clear about it. You're not doing your job as a comedian. If you aren't constantly mining what's going on, a new version of yourself, you are not doing your fucking job.
Yep.
And at one point, you lose your job you become a DMV employee. Where
Well,
you're
it's
just like, blah,
interesting.
blah, blah, blah,
It's
blah.
interesting
Good night.
too, because you do
Drink,
change.
waitress,
As
next city.
human beings, you change, right?
Right.
So the material that I was doing before my mom got sick and I took care of her is not even my sensibility anymore. Some of it I
And the new
hate.
stuff-
Some of it.
Can I tell a story about you in Chicago? This was crazy. We're backstage in Chicago at the Improv, and she goes, this story is awesome. And she just goes, God, I hate all this stuff I'm doing. I hate all of it. I'm going to go riff this entire thing about my mom. And I don't know if it's because, first of all, because she's a genius, so she's really smart. But you know how I build stuff.
Yeah.
She does this bit about her mom's funeral, and opening with it. She did it twice. She did it in Chicago first, then she did it in Austin at a theater we were doing. And I've never seen this before. She did 10 minutes, and she got a standing ovation with this bit. And it was, in the ending, it's a whole story front to back about her mom's funeral and how it ends up. And she's screaming at the ceiling at one point. And I'm just like, she's fucking stealing everything I've done.
I knew you were going to give yourself credit. If he didn't take credit, you would have.
No, but it was genius, and then
And actually, it was 22 minutes. So
it was genius, but that kind of
I
is
was-
William Wallace balls.
Yeah, but so that's the thing, though. Is that a fair ask of the average comic who's out there?
Yes. Every one of us in England and Europe, and you know this. They're talking about Edinburgh comics because it's a much smaller market. Thing in America is you can go. There's so many clubs and so many places to perform. You could literally do the same act for 5 years.
Yeah.
In England, Europe, you can't. The different languages. There's a much smaller group. Everybody's got to have a new hour every year. That's why Edinburgh is what it is. And guys put up new hours every year at Edinburgh. And when I heard that, I was like, it scared me. I was like, fuck. But that's how it should be.
I don't know that. Here's the thing. Once that dam breaks, it's not that hard. It's
because you're funny. You've learned. Guess what you've learned after 10 fucking 12 years, 15 years doing comedy? You're funny.
It's the have we talked about this, the sort of Bruce Lee when in the Tao Jeet Kune Do, he wrote this thing. He goes, when I started martial arts, he goes, a punch was just a punch and a kick was just a kick, right? And I started to study it, and I learned that there's all this stuff to it, right? A punch is all these things, vector and angle and this, and how you hold your hand. A kick is all these.
A punch comes from the back. Of your
bottom of
your
so it's all, and you get all that in your head until you master it. And he goes, now that I've mastered it, he goes, punch is just a punch, kick is just a kick. Yeah. And that's sort of the place where I'm now in that, you got to polish it. And you still have to do the work. Right. You got to do all the push-ups. You got to go to the gym. You got to practice. But the process of just like conceptualizing an hour open to close, here's the story, here's what I want to tell. My job is to go in and write punchlines for all these things. And you know what I do? I happen to be a guy who writes fucking punchlines.
Right.
For 21 years, I've written punchlines and told stories. How is this... Why does this have to take 5 years?
21 years?
I started comedy in April of 2000.
Wow.
Oh, that's why you sucked. Because you were only like 2 years in.
I sold you a headliner packet in my fourth year, and you bought it.
That's marketing.
That's it.
Yeah, he was.
In my defense,
so do you
I
remember?
paid
Do you remember?
though.
Yeah.
An open micer.
Yeah, totally. Basically.
2 years.
And I was like, he'll do fine here.
That's why. Totally.
Fuck him.
That's why. It's over there. The dollar on that in that frame. But the. When I work, it's
I see it.
Screech wrote it to me, and
oh shit, we need to talk about that.
He used to play this club that I played in Colorado, and he would write. They would put dollars on the wall, and I would every time I was there, he would write some shit like "Die Slade Ham," and he'd stick it on the
And
wall.
mean it.
And then I would.
This was because of that night.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we could tell it. So I tore the dollar off, and then would staple a new one up there that goes, "By taking this dollar, I admit I stole jokes from Keith Alberstadt and so and so and so." Like I laid it out, and then he would come back 11 months later and rip the dollar off and staple. So the last dollar that he signed said "Die Slade Hack," and I don't want to be morbid, but it's hilarious that he died.
That's the funniest. But by the way, that's the best joke he ever fucking wrote.
Totally.
He wrote
good.
"You die Slade Ham," and then he died. Wow.
Let me do this last one, and then we need to tell this story. This episode also brought to you by Sunday, which probably Slade needs after seeing his front yard.
For all that time, he's obviously been writing too much and not spending any time on his yard.
Absolutely not.
So one of the things that I started doing in COVID was I became an elderly woman who stands in the lawn and stares at it and wills it to grow and really stresses over the holes that the moles are creating. I know. I had free time.
I can verify. I was in. So we are on the second floor. I was in the shower, and the shower window looks out to the yard. And I was taking a shower yesterday before we came out to here in the morning, and I look out in the yard, and she's honestly like is a mental patient. She's just walking in the yard, and she's doing this. Holding her coffee, and she's looking. she's looking, and she walks to the edge, and she looks down, and I can know that's where the gopher holes or the mole holes are, and she's kind of pissed. Then she walks over and she takes the scissors out, and she trims the hedge with scissors. Dude, I'm not kidding. It's
Your bonsai tree in the yard?
I am.
She is
am.
Mr. Miyagi.
It's my OCD. It's got to go somewhere.
We have
And
all
so,
changed.
Thanks to Sunday, so it's all natural products and they send them in the mail. Again,
And not only
don't
that,
have
but
to
dude,
leave.
you'll get this because you're a smart guy. So what they do is they you tell them what your address is. Then they do a Google shot of your house from space. Then they actually then they do a research on what that soil is. Then you have to send them a sample. Then instead of guessing, you're buying Scotch, whatever. It doesn't fucking work on your.
Yeah.
These guys go analyze the soil and they go, here's exactly what you need. Here's what your soil's depleted in. Here's what
They're probiotic in your yard.
Yes.
Dude, you would
so,
not
and it's not
believe
bad for
our
the
yard.
dogs either. It's like an iron booster
Yeah.
that you're spraying
Dude,
on the. It's how I exercise my OCD. A lot of it started because of COVID, and we started to think, we need to be able to survive off the land. And so I started planting fruit trees, and I thought that I was going to have to feed
And
us.
Snow White has become a squirrel assassin at this point. She wants to kill all the animals.
Oh,
that
in
are
the
dead,
beginning,
taking fruit and stuff.
I was having meetings like, guys, listen, bunnies, bunnies, they would say, what?
The boonies. What the bunnies be like?
Yeah. And then moles, are you here?
The moles like, yeah, we here. We can put a fucking thing in a hole, trying to drive us out. We ain't never leaving, lady.
So in the beginning, I thought we could, live together
Absolutely.
peaceably.
No.
Now
She
I
just-
am gassing them with these dynamite sticks. I'm shoving them down the
It
hole,
shoots
and
out
I am.
poison out into the
Oh
hole.
my God.
Oh, I am loving it.
Can you get an air cannon down there and just shoot them up into the air and
She's
catch them with a
literally-
net?
She's like mole John Wick at this point. She's
Yeah.
just going after you. But Sunday is a game changer because our lawn, even with the moles and stuff, because our lawn at the beginning was thin, the place was bad, and then we got this company, and she's stoked, man. She's out there. She's got a bin, dude. There's a bin around the thing with all these Sunday products in it now. Where I had to build her a plastic
now
thing where she
they're
keeps all
doing-
her gardening stuff. In.
Now they're doing.
It's not the woman you used to.
I am blown away by
Oh
that.
no! Just so you know,
She still
I'm
is-
still drinking vodka while I'm doing it.
I have no doubt that you're doing
She
it
still
drunk.
has
but
35 is it Giuseppe's and Odie's and Louboutin shoes in the.
35. That's so cute.
I didn't want people to get really upset.
Okay. And also Giuseppe Zanotti, please. So now they have pest
Louboutin.
control, which I love.
Yep.
And so you guys got to try their new pest control products. It's good for the environment. It's good for your animals.
But guys, if you want your lawn, listen, we used it. If you want, when we bought this house, they had remodeled it, and the lawn was thin, and it was literally like a elderly man in the final stages. And we got the Sunday stuff, and it changed. It's like our lawn is thick.
It's like
now.
carpet,
It's
yeah.
carpet thick. It's bad.
And you can pest control the shit out of it now with Sunday products. So they take the guesswork out of controlling pests in your home and your yard. Do that for this summer. Get Sunday.com/Titus to get $10 off your smart pest plan at checkout. That's $10 off. Custom plan at getsunday.com/Titus.
I think we're going to wrap this story up with this podcast up with the Screech story. This story is
Which is
by the
in
way,
his
and
book.
this is so I've been a satellite listener of this story for years. Now we have the two people that were so immersed in it, and we'll see how this goes.
I was going to say this is one of those things. We both were there in
Yes.
2005 when it occurred, but now there may be some Brian Williams element to it where both of us misremember it. Who knows? Let's compare the.
I was in the helicopter and I shot everybody down.
Yeah, let's compare
so
the
I beat the
notes.
shit out of Screech. No, you didn't.
Because I bet we can for sure agree on a couple of details.
I will tell you, I did not book him.
So let me start
Jason
this.
did.
Rachel used to run.
Bradley.
Rachel
No,
used
I
to
didn't.
run
Rachel
the,
Bradley.
Shreveport Funny Bone, and she didn't book. She was sent Dustin Diamond, who was Screech.
Oh, you
on-
didn't book Dustin.
Right.
Okay, you
Oh,
booked me.
of
Yeah.
course.
I was like,
Screech-
that was a total phone
Screech,
call.
head of the class, and go.
So
Saved by the Bell, not head of the class.
Oh, whatever. I don't give a shit.
Be specific with this person we don't
Yeah,
like
yeah,
who's
yeah.
dead on a show we don't watch.
That's even more. I wouldn't even mislabel the show.
So Jason booked him,
Uh-huh.
and he was doing Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, right?
I believe so.
5
It might have just been
shows.
Friday, Saturday. Yeah, it was Thursday,
no,
Friday,
it
Saturday.
was
there was a Thursday. Mm-hmm.
where it all began. Slade was featuring for him, and we sold out 5 shows.
Uh-huh.
Because even in Shreveport, Screech was the bomb.
There's
he was
something-
Screech was the Elvis of Shreveport.
People
Exactly.
want to be in a room with someone that they think is a celebrity.
Yeah, Pauly Shore used to kill there, and he
Still
would get
relying on
on stage
this-
and do
yes.
karaoke.
Yes.
Still doing that?
I don't. I think he just says goodnight at 30 minutes now, but probably.
Oh, I heard that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of Pauly Shore's lady friends.
You guys are really horrible at telling this great story.
emptied our servers' purses. Okay, so Thursday night, let's see if I remember how it began. Screech showed up with his wife,
Yeah. This
who he
misshapen.
called. It was an oddly shaped human
You've
being.
never seen anyone shape, and I don't want to body shame, but I've never seen this configuration.
It's
like,
because-
you know how like if you have like a top part and a middle part and they shuffle like a slot machine,
Right.
They would never land in this combination. You can't.
Really?
You can't be built like a little Debbie Christmas tree. Like there's
Wow.
just there was parts that came out where you go, that's not anatomy. That's not.
And it defied gravity.
It defied the physics didn't work.
The center
in
plate that landed really did not match
It
the
didn't-
top and the bottom.
Part Grinch, part.
No, like if you squinted, it looks like there was a sale on beanbag chairs.
Okay,
like
all right.
I don't know
Got it,
another
got
way
it.
to put.
She ate one.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like.
She,
Okay, all right, so good. We've just destroyed his girl.
Now,
and,
and this is not a body shaming thing. She's a really horrific, hateful,
She-
horrible person.
By the way, yeah, if there's a lot of sweet people that are sweet people, and they're just great people, and then there's people that are assholes, and I'm
she
gonna make fun of you now.
introduced herself to me by she
no.
found me in the hallway and she goes, so what do you do? She talked like she had a wet dish towel like stuck in her cheek. So what do you do? What kind of comedy do you do? And I was
Comedy?
And I was like, I've been doing comedy for 5 years. I don't even know how to answer this question, but I'm cocky and I'm smoking and I'm drinking a Guinness and I'm just like, I don't know, bitch. Like I'm just gonna tell jokes and I walk away.
Yep.
And then she goes, well, people have a tendency to watch Dustin's act and then they go up and do his jokes in front of him the next night, and I'd hate to have you fired.
That's how she opened.
That's how we met.
I'm
Yes.
sorry. I'm sorry. That's how this. Okay, I don't know this. Is that what she said? to
That
you?
was her opening.
Introduction to me in the hallway.
I am really. So I couldn't wait for that Dustin Diamond Screech week
Yes.
so I could get an act.
Yes.
I've been doing this 5 years
Yes.
now.
Yes.
Oh yeah, but no.
and
but
also notoriously,
A
Dustin
joke thief.
Diamond stole everyone's material, and everyone knew
so
that.
this was a preemptive strike because she knew.
100%.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
God.
So Thursday, and I go, you know what, man? I won't even be in the room. I'm not even gonna watch his act.
So he
I'm
sat
out.
at the bar with me.
Sat there and got drunk, sold merchandise as people were walking out during his show. It's a wonderful plan.
By the way, wow, convenient. That's super
Wonderful
convenient.
plan. I'll sell shirts while you guys are mad. So that happens, and then the next day, she calls me in the office. That was Friday, right? She calls
Yes.
me in the office. She goes, I guess we need to talk. And I go, what? She goes, they said you're doing one of his jokes. And I go, I'll bite.
And he was awful, by the way.
People
were
Yeah,
walking
not funny.
out.
This was early when he was doing comedy too. He was not. I
He
heard,
never got funny. It was
By the way, here's how bad this guy was at the beginning. I never ran into him. I heard, without knowing you, I heard
Yeah.
like countrywide how horribly unfunny
Yes.
this dude
Yes.
was.
And I tried, there was a point where after I did try to talk to him and he blew me off. He goes, go talk to Jennifer.
Yes.
Because I just sit here. I'm a mushroom. And I was like, bro, we're the show.
Yeah.
Like,
He
we
said
are
that?
verbatim. And I'm like, we are the show.
So on
it's
top
me
of
and you.
he can't even be a comic. He can't even be what a dick.
Completely standoffish.
So I have them at Sam's Town Casino, staying there because he
Right across
got
the
a
street.
suite. Yeah. So wasn't it also Friday where she showed up? She told me that you were stealing from him.
They listen. Here's the joke. She goes. Here was the argument. And I'm not even doing good comedy at the time. I was doing a story
I can vouch for that.
about. I come back from Okinawa and seen this banana lady show. I'm doing a very graphic sex joke about this show or whatever. She goes, so first of all, Dustin does a bit about an old lady whose vagina looks like grilled cheese, and you do a bit about an old lady and her vagina, and there's a pineapple involved or something. She goes, so those are way too close. And I go, well, one, his joke is Sam Kinnison's about that's the bit about Dr.
I love that's
Ruth.
where you started. That's
I
great.
go, that's stolen. I go, so it's not even his joke. And then she goes, and at the time, she goes, you use the word retarded, and he does, which steps on his punchline. She goes, and he has a joke about Walmart, and you say Walmart in one of your bits, so we're just gonna need to fix all this.
Can I tell you a story? Quick story. Yeah. So I had this happen with a guy when I was, because you were strong. You were a strong act. You were new, but you were strong. I had a lot of energy, and I knew how to do it.
Totally.
Joe Restivo, this guy works with me. He's like 95 at the time, and he's wearing leather pants, whatever. And he goes, I think it was Joe Restivo. Anyways, if I get the name wrong, I'm sorry. Comes up to me, because all I had was about my dad. I was a kid. I was 19, 20.
Yeah.
And he goes, hey, man, I do dad stuff. And I looked at him and I go, yeah, but I don't talk about your dad. That's what an asshole I
keeping
was.
that. That's
at 21.
perfect.
Yeah.
yeah, you guys are the same person.
So perfect.
So first show, she tells me we do first show.
What I heard was when it came down to me was, if y'all don't fire him, we're not performing the second show.
But remind me, did that officially happen Friday
night.
or Saturday?
Friday night.
So they
This-
never made it to Saturday.
No, not at all. Saturday
Okay.
night.
He had to headline Saturday.
I know. I headlined the late show Friday, and you brought in somebody
remember
else
this.
Saturday that I ended up burying because he was
awful.
Because he was the guy who booked y'all's travel. They literally sent their travel agent to headline. It was whoever.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember who it was.
All right, get to the
So
story.
we're in the weeds.
By the way, this is what I want to get. I want to get. Here's just how sometimes in a comedy club, the people that show up, they're in a tiny little comedy club in a tiny little town, and they fucking think they're Carnegie Hall.
Yes, they did.
So, yeah.
So here's what I will tell you. I also then it was Friday. She tells me this before the first show, also tells me that she stepped on a needle in her hotel room in the casino, and that it was like under the bed or something, and she's suing the casino. And they said Thursday night on their way to the casino, which was how many feet away? I mean,
It's 3 hers.
that they that they were attacked by a homeless person, and they needed to make a police.
It was
report.
crazy talk.
Dude, this
They
happened.
walked out, Chris, between shows on Friday. They left.
Here's
So
what.
she said to me, I had to fire him or else they were walking.
So basically Thursday night, the guy knows he's having
gets
trouble
buried.
following
Yes,
you.
he
He gets
got
buried.
buried, yeah.
You're selling shirts while people are leaving, going, "Dude, thank you. You're funny, man. What the fuck is
Yeah.
this?" So they get pissed about that, and this guy never stopped doing this. By the way, this guy's rep. Then they go to you after, so they know they're screwed on Thursday. To make him look bad, they start saying that he's stealing jokes. The guy who's stealing jokes, you call him on stealing. Then then he does the first show Friday, probably destroys, and they say he's got to get fired.
They didn't know. She had already told me before the first show, and I said to her, they didn't know how close we were.
Right. I just giggled when she said fired. I was like, yeah, you do that.
And they held the power because the second show
Sold
was
out.
sold out. That people were in the room. And so I told her in between shows, we pulled up you had your CD, and I played the joke.
It's the taqueria guy.
Oh, got it.
I played the joke. I said it's on this, and
Yeah.
here's the year that it was recorded. And in
So
the
he's got it. He's
I've got it on
literally-
album. It's
Yeah.
like I did this.
In the meantime,
Literally has a
behind
copyrighted
her,
album.
while she's telling me that if I don't fire, do you know what I'm going to tell? If I don't fire Slade, they're walking. Behind her on my whiteboard calendar
She's having to reposition this woman.
is a picture that Slade drew with dry erase markers of her. And she is eating a cookie and holding a...
And she knows it's her because nothing's shaped like that. It's like an amoeba.
Right,
you
right,
just
right.
you know your silhouette.
He made little tiny legs and a little tiny top and a midsection that covered a large part of that calendar. And she's in front of it, angrily telling me.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And so I told her, then walk. Then walk.
It's interesting
'Cause I'm not firing
Just
him.
knowing you, it's funny that ultimatums are not something you do well.
No, and especially not about someone I love. You
Right.
know
It
how
I had my club at the time. I think I was like, you can pay me and I'll go. Like
No,
I get
I was
the
not having it.
She wasn't gonna do it, but I understood the dilemma, right?
Yeah.
You have
No, she
200.
did the exact right thing.
He walks, it leaves me. It's Shreveport. There's no one, the comedy in Shreveport. There's no one there. The guy hosting the show was a radio DJ, black guy, hair down
Father
his back.
Flo.
Yes, Flo.
The flow has no material.
None.
None.
2 minutes if you count who's having a birthday. That's the
Right.
Yes.
And he goes, but he was very I've never felt more comforted in my life by someone. He saddled because we knew each other. He saddles up next to me. He goes, I got you, man. He goes, this fucked up, man. He goes, this fucked up. I got you. He goes, I'm gonna bring you up. I'm gonna set the stage. I'm gonna let him know what happened. Things gonna be all right, dog. We got this. He hits this, and Ray's like, "What are we gonna do?" He goes, start the show. Let's go. And the music plays, and Flo goes on stage. The crowd, whoa! Yo! Check it out, everybody. Screech got sick in the motherfucker, but y'all gonna love Slade.
Screech.
Whole intro. I didn't even get a last name.
No.
Y'all gonna love Slade, and he walks off. I didn't even get.
Wait, he didn't do any.
That was it.
warm-up?
No, that was the whole beginning to end. Walked on stage, uttered those words, and was gone before I even got up.
He didn't even shake
He
hands.
disappeared like a magic trick. Just new dealer. I go on stage, and the room is packed with people go, huh? What? Screech in here? We saved our whole money to be with Screech. Screech in, what are we going to do? Get some more Jaeger bombs. And I'm trying to tell jokes.
And I now know that you've been doing comedy 5 years at that point, which at that time didn't mean anything to me.
But
it
now-
really means something. Now.
Yeah,
I get
right.
it.
Yeah.
I'm terrified.
You just fucking get
I've
it's
got-
like, just walk into the bullets. Just
Well,
walk
he
in.
and I, we were both like, we're doing this no matter what.
Period.
We're
How much
gonna
time do you have? I'm like, I don't fucking know, but it's we'll get there.
Including birthdays, you had about 30
about
minutes.
30 good, but I had crowd work and I had, so here's what I do. You know how your gut says, get the first laugh, right? Like just get the first, so I rekey my material and I get the shortest joke up because I'm not short form anyway.
Right.
And I go up and I'm into the setup and I can't hear myself. Like it's that.
Yeah.
And I just go, oh, this is not the right tactic. And I just don't have any other tactics because I've been doing this.
Did you just go to honesty and tell the story?
Chris, I pulled the bar stool. But I ordered a Guinness and I was drinking Patron at the time. I ordered a shot and a beer. I put the bar stool up against the wall where I could sit up against it, and I moved the mic stand off to the side. And I just sat there. I didn't have any other. I had nothing else to do but wait. I'm gonna wait for the shot and the beer to get here, and I'm gonna let them do. They can't be louder than they're being while I'm talking. Yes,
heckling you or just talking.
talking. It was just it sounded like a waterfall.
Do you guys want to go because we'll fucking
Yes.
Yeah, all of that.
Yes.
Got it.
So I just wait, and then my
We
shot
want our
shows
money
up.
back.
All of that, and when it finally showed, and they've quieted down, like there's someone on stage, something's happening. This isn't there.
That's what's great about people. Eventually, they're like, doesn't give a shit.
Yes.
Once they realize you didn't give a shit, they were there.
It changed and then I go look, and I go, here's the truth. I go, he's not sick. I go, he's at the casino right across the street. I go, he's a little bitch, and here's what happened.
Yeah,
and I
he
just
told him.
laid it out. And I go, he got embarrassed and he quit. And the punchline always, so when I told the story on stage, a guy from the back of the room goes, "You're lying." And I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You didn't embarrass him." And I go, "What?" He goes, "If 10 years on Saved by the Bell didn't embarrass that son of a bitch."
Is that true?
The conversation happened after the show. It wasn't
that's
from the
so
back
lit.
in the darkness like you'd want it to be, but yeah.
He won them over.
But
And
you know, but-
I do remember us being so proud because wasn't it, I think it was like one or two couples that asked
We lost
for
two,
their
yeah,
money
like literally
back.
two people.
Yeah.
The other people accepted future tickets, but were happy for the show. Two people were mad and won their money back. Not mad because of him.
Just mad they wanted to see Screech.
They wanted to see Screech.
Can I say this? And this is an example. And I've said this over and over. I turned it into a joke, but comics have this ability, and this is why comedy will never die. It's been around for like centuries because. In any situation, you can throw a decent, funny human up, and he'll figure it out. And you were honest. And here's what people don't get: if you're honest, there is such a power in truth, and they knew you were telling the truth.
Yeah.
And it didn't. By the way, when you told me the story originally, it didn't surprise me that he was such a dickhead. But you, the only thing that grounded that entire set was that you stopped, realized you got a little buzz on, and I'm going to tell the truth. And then they were like, "Oh, fuck, that's fucked up."
That
And also,
authenticity.
It's like when you do new material and you
Authenticity.
tell
And they
them,
know.
they love that you're honest with them. And I'll say this might suck, but you guys just said it was okay that I do it, so that's consent. And they want to be part of it with you, and they want to support you through
Yeah.
whatever
Yep.
tough thing you just told them you're about to do.
Right.
It's
It's a shitty day at work. They really got that he was having a shitty day at work.
and we
Yes.
we really have not even scratched the surface on detailing what an asshole he was.
And only because I don't want to.
Everywhere he went, he did crazy shit to people and sued people and
So he
started
was in the
fights.
Sex tapes and stabbing a dude in a bar
he
and
stabbed the guy like this.
Yeah.
This went on. By the way, this was a weekly thing for a while. This guy did this over, but
like I say, I don't want to talk ill of the dead,
Yes, you do.
but I did put an extra sugar in my coffee that morning.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
I was.
That's
I don't want to talk ill of that either. But you can smile about him.
I've lost very little sleep since then.
Yeah. So the cool thing is that you did it, man, and that she. I love that you guys were so young at the time in comedy.
Oh, we didn't
Both
know
of you
anything.
guys, but it was the perfect thing because now
The fact that Ray and I pulled off a comedy show in that environment
Yeah.
based on a collective 9 years experience is pretty remarkable.
Did I have that many?
you didn't have
No, it's collective. I was
That's
giving
what
you
I
mine
mean.
plus
I'm
yours.
saying-
It wasn't collective. You
I'm
guys
not even-
Both,
yeah.
You guys both knew shit about comedy, really. Because honestly, but that was the only thing you could have done. You did the right thing. I like that you totally William Wallace did.
It's a good part
Get
of my
the fuck out.
mythology. I'm happy to have the story in my
and
little.
that story's in his book.
It is. And I go into quite a bit of detail too.
Get that book,
there's some
people.
fun stuff in there.
I just want to say, the audience, comics always say, how do you get up there and tell a dark story like that? I go, because the audience knows when you're telling them the truth and they like it. They also know when you're lying. They don't know consciously, oh, this guy's lying to us. But the room will get weird.
I watched a guy last night. Sam did that show. Basically, I don't want to say an open mic, but local Houston guys. And this one dude went up and he told us, it was one of those things I found, it wasn't as punchline heavy as like you wished a story would be. I sat there like this. The whole thing was about this driver of this chip truck at this grocery store that he worked at that had worked there, and he had Down syndrome. He didn't drive. He got in the truck to move it or something. Ran over this guy's dad and killed him, and then proceeds to tell the next 8 minutes about how this dude and him ended up, he was part of his family, and he ends up going to this guy's funeral, and it's this whole story about him and his relationship with the guy who killed his dad. Like, and it was just one of those things I thought about you, where you're just like, this is really fucking interesting.
Yeah.
I'm just in.
The only sin is to not be compelling.
That's
the only
be
fucking
interesting
sin.
is what it really. It's a that tends to be Billy D brought it up, and Ali said it. It's like this big. If you just be interesting,
You can listen. Start with this truth. You can always add punchlines. I always said, every sentence of truth is just waiting for a punchline to add. Every sentence is a fucking setup.
You changed a lot of the way my writing style when it comes to stories, at least for the stage anyway. Because I remember when you were doing. It was either Love Is whatever tour, whatever you were working on at the time, and you write long form. Like you had a sheaf of printed out, like your. I don't know if you still write that way, but it was the.
I do, yeah.
It was.
She writes that
text.
way too. Now.
I do.
I used to not, and I that's sort of part of the process now. There's a phase of it that I run through, and I go, okay, here's all the truth that I've decided to keep. We got the facts, and we killed all the unnecessary stuff, and then I pop that into Word, and I double space it, and that's part of the process.
And then you add a punchline,
and then you write all that, and then you take that now, and then it goes into my set list and where we differ.
You're the third. Okay, every comic I've told this to, there's only 3 guys. I've told this to hundreds of comics.
Sam does it too.
Dude, Sam does it too.
Me and Sam do it frequently.
There's 3 comics, man. Andrew Rivers. Andrew Rivers, the guy who's married to Tom Simmons.
Simmons,
oh, yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
Simmons, Slade, and they took my advice and they're like doing it. Yeah, and you. 5 come. Wow.
Look at you! You're having all these little comedy babies, and probably
really
more
hate me.
because I've probably downstreamed that idea to other people. So there's a bit of a.
The problem is that you when you write it, you kill all that time where you're riffing it, and plus you can't remember the riff. But if you can get close to the premise and the punchline, it's already written. So when you get off stage, you go, "Oh, that's what I said." Oh, fuck.
Well, and then if we riff something on stage that works, we'll yell to each other. Write that down. Write it down. 'Cause you never remember.
So I don't have a you. I have literally made audience members write shit down. I have full blown looked at somebody in the front row and go, just write this word down and bring it to to me after the show.
They come to me and they go,
all I need is the word.
Tweet that to me.
Yeah.
I've said
What does alligator mean? Fuck, I got it. That's all I needed. That's all I needed.
All right, guys. Dude, thanks for being on,
bro.
It's great to have people that are as energetic as we are, and that are interesting as shit.
Like I said, we could do 10 more podcasts.
We're not dancing on the grave of Dustin Diamond. We're just
break
glad.
dancing.
We're just happy there's a grave. Sorry. Listen, I give assholes no quarter. And I know I'm one sometimes. So
No, he was evil.
There are going to be people who, when I die, will only have shitty memories of me. And I am at peace with that, and they are free to tell their little version of the story. But if I frame that dollar that dude who died of cancer wrote, "Die Slade Hack," and you died of lung cancer, get the fuck out of here. What is the poetry?
That's who the dude is, though. He left $1 at a club for you to see that said "Die Slade."
Had he died by the time you saw that dollar, or you had already
No.
home?
I had already brought this home, and it was in a box, and I framed it afterwards and just put "Outlast" over it because it was a nice little.
Yeah, it says "Outlast."
Yeah,
you guys
framed
can
it for the
see that.
podcast.
Guys,
can I pimp the podcast?
Yeah, totally. Oh, yeah.
We have
Whiskey
fans. We have
Brothers,
fans of your podcast still that listen to us because of Sam's appearance, and I know there's some cross pollination. And I apologize for the fans we've sent your way. Ours are little animals, but the Whiskey Brothers.
Great podcast, by the way.
We do it every Monday on Twitch, and then it comes out on you get it on YouTube and all the places you get podcasts. So that's fun, and then there's all the whole world of Slade on YouTube also. All my travel stuff's there. I have this little I don't promote it. It just sits there, and I put cool shit there and forget to talk about it. So if anybody wants to go find more
By the way,
Slade,
some of the best pictures, like
I was
we get
going to
stuff-
say, people should follow your Instagram just for the
follow
photography.
your Instagram just for the photography and all the places you've been, man.
I'm more Anthony Bourdain than comic now. So
It's a good thing.
I'm not mad at
just
it.
Don't kill yourself.
it's a.
I never figured that. I love this dude. Why did he? What?
You know why? Because he did it all. That's exactly why. He did everything there was to do, and he looked up and he went, you know what's left? Like 36 countries I don't want to go to. That's all that's left. I've done everything 3 times, and I'm
Trump
just
is president. So.
just honestly, I really do think there's something to looking up and going, man, I checked everything I wanted to do off the list before I fucked this up. I'm not approving it. I'm just saying I understand.
No, I want to write out those last 40
course you
days
do.
of horrible nightmares
Yeah.
as my organs fail.
With her sponge bathing you and showing you pictures on the Peloton while she... Yeah,
we were
come on.
just with, do you remember Pooch?
Yes.
So we were just with him 2 weeks ago, and we went to lunch, and he was telling us about when Chester killed himself. And he said the week before he killed himself, he was happier than they'd seen him be
They thought
ever.
they said that we just thought he was in a great place.
Yeah.
and
There is
he was
there
in
is
a great place because he decided.
I don't justify the suicide side of it, but I do know that you can get to a place where you are comfortably at peace with taking that step. Not suicidally, but just like if I
Right.
walked out of here and a safe
Chris
fell on
Rock-
my head, I would be pretty cool with the fact that
I
if
have
you
this-
look at the balance sheet, I won.
That
I'm
you're-
not mad about what I pulled off and what I got out
Is
of
it
and what
an
I
Acme safe that
No,
you're in a
or
cartoon?
piano or whatever. But however it would have happened, I've done the math and I can look at it and I'm like, you know
Wait,
what?
you can't say that. You can't do the math.
You did the math.
You
Wow,
did the
I
math.
did the math.
Wow.
I did the actual
We
math.
can close there.
I'm gonna throw a
actually,
yellow
because
card on that.
you
Jesus
just
Christ! Wow.
Did the math.
Maybe
Wow.
you need to get back on stage and do some more sets. you just.
I'm opening for
that was
Titus on this
It
next
was a
tour,
throwback
so-
hack, is what that was.
Wouldn't it be brilliant if I slipped that in though, just all on
I've
my own?
waited 11 years to say that to him.
So no, I did it. Yeah, I get it. You've done it. There is a point. I told Ray. I said if I got some disease where it was like I could either write it out to the end for the horror, or I'd be like, nah, we're gonna have a party. We're gonna wrap it up.
I just if all you've done is raise, 2 sticky kids in some little shitty suburb of somewhere and you haven't done anything else with your life, I can understand how death
Hold
is this
on,
terrifying. Look, just because you raise 2 kids in a suburb
no.
doesn't mean But my point, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, that's a lifestyle too.
Yes, but somebody raised Abraham Lincoln. Somebody raised
Totally.
somebody-
But I'm
He's
saying
saying if
even
that's
if you
all you've
raised
done.
Abraham Lincoln, at some point before he became president, you do look at your life and go, man, all I've really done is raise a kid in a log cabin. I don't feel like I did everything I could have done with my life. And I haven't done everything, but I do feel like I've probably done enough of it where if it were to happen, I'm just like, man, I'm cool with my concept of what happens after this and my concept of everything I did before this. And yeah.
I hope we don't have to play this. and ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Slade's in Memoriam.
Just fade
we
to
have
black.
We have this piece.
I'm doing it on Wednesday.
To,
So
wrap,
just-
to wrap the podcast up, I'm going to play this piece.
I'm
From,
live streaming at twitch.tv/Whiskey Brothers.
I'm sorry, that hasn't happened yet. Guys, thanks for listening
Love
to
you guys
and
to death.
watching the Titus Podcast on Christopher Titus TV on YouTube, or go to ChristopherTitus.com if you want to get any DVDs, anything we'll sign, and check our dates out. What are we doing after this? We got 2 weeks off, and then we get after Houston. What are we doing?
Arkansas. First time ever.
Watch your hand.
Lowell,
I am not going after
Arkansas.
Cal. Be like, that cat. fuck that
Lowell.
guy.
Oh, you guys are going out to the Grove.
So it's
Yes.
nice.
I know
think
that.
so.
Yeah,
Pretty nice.
I do know that room.
It's a good.
It's a fun room. It's a very fun
There
room.
you go. Good. Dude, thanks for being on.
Absolutely.
It's just awesome to just hanging out.
Let's not do it so infrequently.
No, and we were talking about how there's people you hang out with that you have to work. That's work. And then there's people you hang out that is life. Thanks.
I'll be a little
thanks for
charged
bringing
up
life.
after this. So love you guys.
Thanks, guys, for watching Titus Podcast. For myself, Bombshell Ray, and the amazing Slade Ham. Later.
Peace out.